See, from the very start, the West, especially America as a whole, is a really narcissistic based society, and it's really built on that competitive dog eat dog world mentality. And so the way this society and the hierarchy and the social norms are set up are to benefit those who think from a narcissistic mind state, and narcissistic individuals, those people who naturally operate out of evil and naturally operate out of narcissism and hate. So this is the main reason why something like organized stalking, gang stalking, organized harassment could exist. This is one of the main driving forces as to why many people will not hesitate to join in these sort of hate crimes and this cancel culture and these groups of individuals who have nothing really better to do than put this much energy, effort, and time and resources into coming against the targeted individual's livelihood as a whole. And that's why it doesn't surprise me, really, that, a large portion of society is involved in organized stalking, gang stalking, community mobbing, organized harassment, these hate crimes in some type of way, or they're enabling it in some type of way. So a lot of these sadistic tactics are being normalized, and the narcissistic mindset that is incorporated within organized stalking is being normalized and is being pushed through these sort of programs. And just the fact that it's basically trying to deprive somebody of their human rights as a whole. And organized stalking is just human trafficking in broad day. It's human trafficking in clear sight, in a covert manner, as to where there's room for plausible deniability, and you will be gaslit for trying to confront or bring this to the table and shine the light on it, because it's something that has made not only the federal government and these various agencies and these people, these veterans and these community watch groups and these fire departments, these EMS, hospitals, these industries, these organizations. It's made a lot of people money. It's a big money maker, and it has a paper trail. So not only has it done that, but it's also helped people reach certain positions within their lives in society. And a lot of people have benefited off of this, and their livelihood has increased, and they've had certain perks that were granted to them for carrying out organized stalking and organized harassment. So we have a society that's really built on these evil tendencies and these narcissistic tendencies, and that's really what's promoted. That's really what I see the most. The society has really been primed to do this sort of thing and ask no questions and just follow the leader and do what everybody else is doing because you were told to do it, because that's what you were told to do. And so I think that, in this type of world we live in, evil thrives here. And I think that more so it's the evil individuals, those willing to sell out their own family members, those willing to sell out their own sons and daughters, their own people, those willing to, carry out something like organized stalking on a complete stranger that they don't know personally, those willing to come against people that they've never even spoken to but just believed a lie or they were paid to do so. This world is really filled with these type of individuals as a whole. And I say that because I feel, me personally, my opinion, that's the majority. And that's just from my own experience. And I don't say that to discourage anybody. And at this point, we should know, we have no other choice but to keep moving forward, no matter how bad things get, how they may seem. For me, I'm not new to this. And I get a lot of people that try to school me. But at the same time, I was born into this. You see, I'm not somebody who just woke up and noticed I was targeted, or it didn't just start at some point. This is something that I was born into throughout my life. This is something that they weed you out. They weed them out at birth. They know who is who based on your characteristics, based on how you carry yourself. They know that you're not going to be a piece of shit criminal. You're not going to be somebody who is a part of a program like this that tries to get people to off themselves or drive them to homelessness or steal their identities or use fraud and, steal their assets or do all of these pyramid, black market schemes that they're running on the masses. And that's another thing about it. Like, it's not only gang stalking, it's not only organized stalking, but it's a business to these people. It's sort of like a RICO crime. So not only are they participating in organized stalking, human trafficking, tracking you, using stalking by proxy, getting our devices compromised, mirroring devices, trying to steal your intellectual property, trying to physically be you in an attempt to steal your destiny and the life that was promised to you by the Most High, the true source of existence. Not only are these people, doing the gang stalking, there's a plethora of different schemes that these people are running, because these are the real criminals, these are the real so-called bums who like to deprive other people of their human rights and like to steal people's inheritances or like to steal people's assets or what they've worked hard for and try to sabotage it and live off of other people's downfalls or steal and commit fraud and scam. But at the very same time, they have the nerve to try to reverse it and make you look like you're not capable, make you look like you're a bum, or make you look like, you don't have what it takes to operate just like every other person within society. Because what they do is once you make it to the finish line, they move the finish line further every time you get close to the finish line. And that's the type of individuals we're dealing with. We're dealing with groups of talentless, uninteresting, people who would steal from people that are closest to them, people who steal people's identities, people who make a whole living off of being frauds and living a lie and putting on an act to gain attention or support or fame in any sort of way. But at the end of the day, behind the scenes, they're built their lives off of being a fraud, and they built their lives off of participating in a program that's meant to drive a person to take themselves out, or that's meant to set up another individual or deprive another individual of their human rights. So we're dealing with cowards with many connections. And at the same time, I don't say this to discourage anybody, but they know why I make these videos, and I know why I make these videos, and I know what I've experienced. So this ain't about who's the most targeted. This ain't about who knows the most or who's been through the most, or let's compare our struggles and compete. But this is the truth no matter what. Because this is what many targeted individuals on a collective level experience and really live this life. And I think once your life has been affected by it so much, you can't just be quiet and just go duck off somewhere and hide in a corner and just die. You know what I mean? Once you've been through it and it's affected your life, real relationships, real connections, real progress, once it's really affected you and your back's against the wall, you're going to say something. At least that's me, because I refuse to be a coward, and I refuse to not stand for something and fall for everything. So at the end of the day, we're dealing with a narcissistic society basically ran by cowards. And I don't even have to touch on the real graphic stuff that these people at the top are really doing on a broad scale. The same people that are making you pay bills, the same people that got you running on a hamster wheel, that got us all a slave to paper, that got us all trying to make it day by day.